We're all pawns in a much larger game. New world order. New world order. New world order. We're all pawns in a much larger game. They control the left, they control the right, and they train foreign troops in the United States to disarm the American people. This is all a game. The riot cops look the same in every country, from Japan to China to Russia to Europe. We are all being controlled by the same global new world order.
I believe that the powers that be manipulate humanity through the solar cycles by staging events.
Do these solar cycles have such an
people
effect
that I think
on
are overtaken by evil spirits? In the mainstream conspiracy movement, there's a lot of people that have been led into QAnon, racism, white supremacy, and the far right, without seeing the conspiracy hand, if you will, behind the left and the right, especially today. That doesn't mean everybody that's left and right, but predominant left and right politics are very much controlled. So, as a result of that, our main topic here is it's difficult for independent people and ethnic people, even though many people talk about a woke movement. In fact, AI filters out a lot of ethnicities. It's a very racist AI. So, the plight of today's and tomorrow's truther, but especially ethnic truther, right, is something that we are discussing, right? I've seen my reach go down quite a bit. I've seen the effect of the machine, if you will, AI, the algorithm, and I've seen the attitude of society through the programming and propaganda, right, from social media, and just the dark energy of society too, that would be perhaps separate from that, like the energy that came around 2012. Not the end of the world per se, but certainly the end of a way of life, as was 9/11. Y2K didn't bring the end of the world, but it brought the end of a certain sense of security. And so the war on terror began, which was not a real war on terror. Look at the Taliban back in Afghanistan. Listen to a little bit of music here on the side. So they've got all these people online with smartphones, but very few people are creating content, let alone quality content. Out of the people that are creating content, a lot of people aren't thinking for themselves. So there has been an increase in female content creators outside of porn, although there's been a lot of women going into OnlyFans. But as far as I don't ever want to use the term conspiracy theory, but truth reporting, not so much. Yeah. And there's less incentive for it, right? Money, life isn't about making money, but people also need to survive because it's also energy. So it's about an energy exchange. And unless people want to, for the most part, getting involved in pushing clickbait, not that all clickbait is bad. You got to create an image, some say, and a title that will attract someone to click on it. That makes sense. It's the deception and the greed and the manipulation that I don't like. So it's done for spiritual reasons to wake somebody up, say if it's a spiritual channel and spiritual topics, that's one thing. If it's a false political truth to lead them in, thinking that they're getting access to some sort of secret, only to just give that person more clicks so they can make more money, that's the deception. And a lot of people engage in that. And fake news and bearing false witness. So we live in a time of universal deceit. It's very Orwellian. But there's not enough independent media. So I'll be creating, of course, content in the city of my birth, even though I'm not there, because even though there's a larger population there, right, there isn't quality independent media there. Oh, there's Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts, and I guess you can consider that non-mainstream media, but it's on another platform. But of course, this is on their platform too, YouTube/Google. It is important to try to host your content elsewhere. But there is a difference, I would say, between talking and commentating on a regular basis on YouTube and having a track record, and just tweeting and not putting your image or your voice out there. Okay? That is another level entirely. So I think that they've got it tweaked. Certainly they do in China, to not only recognize certain ethnicities and people, but to filter them out also. This is being done in China. And there's many ways in which the West is intertwined with China, in more ways than we know. China is even influencing the YouTube algorithm. Did you know that? In the past videos about the Uyghurs in China, when you looked them up on YouTube, you would end up looking at videos from Chinese influencers. I actually got a lot to say, so maybe I'll try to keep this from being a full hour video. If you want to wake people up in your community, you need to hand out DVDs, have a blog, create a flyer with something they can rip off that has the link to the blog. You need to bypass the algorithm. If you're going to use the internet, if you are able to post in local groups where there's a lot of people, I may be stating the obvious here, folks, but it's good for me to discuss these things because I'm not necessarily doing these things, but I'm not necessarily trying to reach local people right now. I'm giving advice, but I'm not necessarily successful in my own personal life. So in a way, I'm just trying to motivate myself for the work that I'm going to be doing later this year also. Some of it in my name, some of it not my name, right? I encourage people to do both. If you're proud of something that you have created and come to understand, right? And you don't feel that there's any danger in it, right? And you want your family to be proud, then go ahead and use your name. Now, for some people though, and this is where a lot of white conspiracy theorists are going to disagree with me, and I've been a mixed race conspiracy theorist since 2004, who's interviewed and met Alex Jones, David Icke, a lot of folks, about 200 folks. A lot of people are dead now that I've interviewed in the past. They're constantly saying how white conservatives are filtered out. My experience with consuming content hasn't been that. White supremacy has always been pushed in my direction on the Twitter algorithm and quite a bit on Facebook, not so much now, but it was in the past. They kind of cleaned up their act, but they were involved in a lot of dirtiness, dirty politics, dirty money, taking money from Russia, and the Russian propaganda aspect is true. It's sad the conspiracy theorists didn't wake up. So, there is a lot of racism towards people that might be perceived to be Middle Eastern. My mom's white, my dad's not. And because I've been open about that, and there's not a lot of people like me in the truth movement, it's possible that the information that I just freely shared on the internet with AI, which is keeping more track about me than perhaps the shadow banning that I have experienced, and I've discussed the victims of war, atrocities in the Middle East, other things that some white conservatives don't. Not because I'm some evil libtard. I'm not leftist. Talk about 9/11 and other things, and Obama, not him being the Antichrist or born into the country, but him expanding the wars, the drone attacks, and being a part of the war machine, and probably being close to Putin also. Like other, though, presidents and former presidents. I see them all as part of the system. I see things differently. I also pick up on the patterns of the solar cycles, which not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people have the intelligence to figure that shit out. The cycles of war, some people are more focused on the grain store minimum and the crop loss, and good luck to you. Hope that's fun. I'm more interested in looking at these periods in which man kills man, in which man becomes possessed to kill his fellow man, and men go on killing sprees. And we see this, and I would include the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq in that equation of, quote, killing sprees. Like it or not. So that's just the truth. So I know more than a few things about how the internet has changed. How your face, your voice, your information, your face, your voice, your information can identify you, maybe even the device that you're using. If you really want to be anonymous, for example, you might want to have a designated device or computer that you only use for uploading that content. I am not encouraging anything illegal. I am encouraging peaceful, nonviolent content that exposes the evil in this world. And I believe that this algorithm here may be influenced by the paranormal. Now, if you want to hear me speculate on that further, we can discuss that in another video. These are just points that I'm just airing here. It's a good one. You're like, what is he doing? I'm engaging in the forbidden act of magi. That's right. I'm doing mysterious things with my voice and my hands. So mysterious. It must be. Quick, hit the dislike button. You're not sure what's going to happen next. What in the hell is he doing with his hands? I call it the windmill effect. Enough of that. You are not allowed to have fun when you are learning deep philosophical truths. Haven't you seen Pink Floyd? The teacher with the ruler? So we'll cap this video soon. Whether one's ethnic or white, they gotta learn how to bypass the algorithm. If there's decent spiritual white people, they're gonna face oppression too. If they're evil and corrupt, well, they might find themselves popular. Not everybody that's corrupt and evil, though, is gonna find themselves popular in the algorithm. Sometimes they are for a while, and then they end up dumped. And they wasted all that time and all those years for nothing. It's like the golden years of the internet are over. We're now in like the new dark ages of different types of censorship and other types of manipulation and even interference down to someone's smartphone, computer, down to the level that most people don't even understand exists. You understand what I'm saying? No, but do you now? Can you conceive of such a thing? Yeah, what I'm doing this morning really takes me back to a couple years ago, living off the grid and getting up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Those days, firing up a generator. I think it's important to talk about the off-grid experience because what am I discussing? What I care about. I cared about the truth. So, I kept creating content, even though I became homeless for a few years and lived in a teardrop camper. Then, went to an off-grid county in Colorado, tried to live off-grid, but they're trying to kick the off-gridders off their land, so I filmed that, hundreds of videos in fact. Pissed people off, especially the locals. Made the news. Now, when I type in certain interviews that I've done with certain people, or certain titles of certain videos, they don't come up on search. When I look for other YouTube channels, or I type in their name and information, they don't come up on search. So, we're gonna have to go a little further on this video, but I'm gonna try to make this not an hour video. There are types of interferences now going on with the internet that weren't happening before, right? So we've only had the internet for like so long. You also want to be aware of the negative aspects of the internet and look up the dark side of internet addiction and attempt to do digital detoxes, just as you want to take breaks from coffee. Okay. You also want to take breaks from the internet, from marijuana, from TV, from sugar. Maybe take a break from where you live. Take a break from the news. Take a break from your job. Take a break from working out. Take a break from living a sedentary lifestyle. Take a break from doing the same things that you've always done. Take a break or do something different. Drive a different route to work or to your spouse's or girlfriend's or boyfriend's house or to the mall. This one's good. I do think of my hometown and my parents' generation when I listen to this music. I've dealt with interference with Facebook groups where I post and I try to reach refugee groups, not that I'm open borders, but I want to warn them about the false flags that I sense are coming. I want to warn them about the detention camps that even my father has been concerned about. I want to warn them about the New World Order that they don't know a thing about. I want them to know 9/11 truth. I want them to know what's coming with China and Russia. I want them to know that I know about the unseen forces, which their own book, their holy book, talks about. They're called the Jinn. I've called them for years the Archons, but yet they don't want to talk to me. Now, I can't tell you why. Or can I? It's difficult. I've tried to reach to my father's family the difference between, maybe some ethnic people and say white or blacks. White or blacks typically tend to back each other up in different ways. They have their issues. And they don't necessarily agree with each other amongst themselves. They fight amongst themselves. They hurt themselves. That's true. So the idea of racism and tribalism is ridiculous. Point is this. There's lots of points. The dots that I'm trying to connect are all over the place. But at present, humanity still has the potential to override what AI is doing if it wants to will it into action. The actions and behaviors where the machine is right now is not full on a takeover. It's on the creep effect. It's creeping. But unfortunately, a lot of humans are programmed by AI or by the entities that program AI. Something to that effect. A lot of people don't understand those things. So they're on autopilot. So humans that might have been awake years ago to certain things are now zombified. I've seen in a matter of years, people that I used to watch my show and even people that I've had sex with, some women in the past, how they later got into Donald Trump worship and QAnon, even though they were with me back in the day when I was listening to the old Alex Jones, megaphoning 9/11 truth in my hometown, exposing domestic martial law war game exercises in the city of my birth on the West Coast. Right? At that point, it was all fun and dandy until the propaganda machine changed. And then people changed. Okay, so there's spiritual warfare taking place. It's been increasing since 2000, but after 2012, also going to the next level. Massive changes with technology and algorithms and processing power, and suicides also going up, drug abuse going up, people getting involved in the sex industry, that rate going up, more women watching porn, much of it violent, more porn featuring aliens, porn going increasingly towards the dark side, even though sexuality is totally normal and healthy. Because if it wasn't for sex, you wouldn't be here. But so, in so many ways, our world is turning towards the dark side. And so the algorithms aren't going to support the truth, like they did early on in the internet, where they're like, here, bring us your truth. Here's Facebook. What's on your mind? What do you mean, what's on my mind? What's on your mind? I don't know if I'm going to tell you what's on my mind. Eventually, people start telling it what's on its mind, and we start to regret it later on and go, oh shit, I told Facebook too much. Because you're not just telling Zuckerberg. You're telling, like, the Borg. And so, like, this Borg knows way more about us, you and me, if we've been spending our lifetime on Facebook. I have a book. I have a book this big. Made of my Facebook posts. It's not a book yet. It's going to be a book. This is a book on China, by the way. See this? I knew something was coming with China years ago, so I started collecting books on China. This is about the surveillance of the Uyghurs. You know, there's leftists out there that are in denial of what's going on with the Uyghurs because they think it's just Trump hating on China. If they care so much about Muslims, we don't care about the Uyghurs. A lot of the people on the left don't really care about Muslims or refugees. They're just fighting back against the right. In many cases, this unrest looks more like a family feud rather than some multicultural nightmare. Yeah, you look at these protests in some of these cities, right? It doesn't look so multicultural. Looks like the same people fighting that have been divided. And see, they've made it popular to take part in the unrest, as they are doing now with the events in Texas. I guess there's a Voice of God caravan that's going down there. So there's many predictions that I've made over the years. One of them is that there would be right-wing groups traveling around America, creating chaos. I spoke of this in 2016. Manufactured chaos and civil unrest before World War III, 2013. And here we are in 2024, and how much unrest have we seen since 2016? How How many groups have we seen traveling around the nation because they're following politicians and tweets and influencers? That's right, they're being influenced. They're not learning anything. They're not evolving. They're under the influence. They're getting sleepier, sleepier, sleepier. But they are under a trance in which up is down, down is up, 2 plus 2 equals 5.3. They falsely think that they are awake to the new world order. They think they are awake to what the elite at the top of the pyramid is doing to the population, where they are at the bottom. They think that they are enlightened and cannot see their own inner zombie, sheeple, normie nature. I noted years ago the fakeness of Portlanders and their whole counterculture fronting. The blue hair, the pink hair, looking like a goth, looking like a punk. They want to act like they're rejecting the system, with all the tattoos and piercings on their fucking face, yet they all look the fucking same. You want to act like you're doing the rebel yell, yet you all look the same. Why don't you fucking say something about the system? Years later, I will talk about supposed tough guys or the rise of UFC and MMA. I like the martial arts, but why don't one of you fuckers talk about what's going on in this world? And then eventually Joe Rogan would ride along on his horse and play this catering to the right-wing co-opt of what the truth is. Just creating more of this more mainstream media gargling goo with more people thinking that they're brilliant intellectuals when they're egomaniacs in reality. Playing with the dark side. Playing with the truth for a number of years and then watching it let them get popular and grow and grow and grow, as Alex Jones used the truth about 9/11, the truth about the police state, and the truth about many things to build himself up and develop up a following of worshipers. Not students, not friends, not allies. I want to be his ally. I want to be his friend. Alex Jones! Brother from another mother. I don't think so. He made that clear a long time ago, that he is not the friend to all of humanity. He is sold out to the interests of the devil. And so people are going to stand against evil in this world, and we're going to be using the platforms of the devil itself, right? There's going to be issues that we're going to face. We're going to have issues getting the word out. We're going to see people often in this fallen world rewarded by the evil that they do, with many views and lots of money. Physically safe, living in warm houses that aren't on fire while they laugh as the world burns. Do not be deceived, ladies and gentlemen, by what seems to be God allowing these people to prosper. For life begins and ends in a flash. That which gives life can easily take away life. Through a car accident, through a heart attack, through the allowance of a bullet entering through a window into a body. Who knows why things happen the way that they do? But ultimately, why did we even end up here in this biological prison to begin with? And how do we get out? And who amongst us is even trying to help us see those answers? To look at They Live the movie in a literal sense, to see the worship of money. Not to just use the Bible and hit people over the head with the Bible and act like they're with Christ. Here we have people in the alternative media acting like they're awake, showing images from They Live, like they're putting on the sunglasses and seeing these subliminals. They need to put on the real sunglasses and see that they themselves are programmed. Then go ahead and have all these memes that they're awake and they're seeing the zombies without seeing the zombie apocalypse within themselves, the hate within themselves, the mass consciousness within themselves, the implanted thoughts within themselves, the psychotic behaviors within themselves, the addictions within themselves. And that's where a lot of people are. A lot of people now, right now, they're addicted to this darkness. They're addicted to this technology. And they don't want to read books. They don't want to read blogs. I have a 10-part blog series somewhere out there on the internet. No comments. Make videos, there'll be comments. Make videos on YouTube, there'll be comments. Make videos on some other website or some other alternative place, there won't be comments. Well, if they like the content, why would they not comment on it? Well, because we have a reality here where there's some sort of like proprietary, possibly, I'm speculating, nature to YouTube, to where it's like McDonald's and there's like a secret ingredient where you keep coming back for more and more and more, and you don't know why. And you can't get full, and you eat and you eat, and then you're hungry again. As it is with YouTube. You watch and you watch and you watch, getting more and more and more of that dopamine and perhaps other effects on the brain that we don't know about, but they know a great deal about. YouTube/Google. Years and years and years and seeing the real YouTube and documenting it. And years and years and years of exposing things in this world and seeing the real YouTube behind the scenes delete certain videos. Criticisms of the murder of people overseas. Discussions of abuse of immigrants in Europe. Videos removed and deleted. Discussions of events in Syria. Seeing YouTube delete mainstream links from MSN.com. Provide me news through my laptop. It's literally embedded within the actual app on my computer. Do you understand? It's as mainstream as you can possibly get. And then YouTube comes in and says, no, this is false news, even though it's the mainstream. So I'm sharing mainstream news. And then YouTube comes in and says, no. So we have this reality, which I accurately called years ago. They want everybody sucking off the tail of the mainstream. No surprise here. But let me just articulate, because a lot of people really don't get it. And I mean sucking off the tail of the mainstream. That also means transforming YouTubers into repeating mainstream media talking points. Oh, you want to be a YouTuber? You want to go far? Be in line with what Fox News is saying. Even though Alex Jones isn't on YouTube, the very things that he is saying and the things that his followers and the people that he influences and has on a regular basis, and what they are saying, including a number of people that I've talked to in the past. There's a number of people that I've had on my program that have also been on his program, 50 to 100. Okay, but I never made it big in the alternative media. A lot of people don't know me in this world. A lot of people might find one of my extra YouTube channels that I have out there. And hopefully they will learn something. Because the whole purpose in this algorithmic manipulation is to keep voices like mine from reaching other people and give them another perspective. Because a person cannot hear something once they've heard it or see. So there's a propaganda aspect of it. Elon Musk is playing into that because the level of violence being shown there is off the hook on Twitter. Okay, so when it comes to truthing or sharing the truth or shining the light on some darkness or individuals or the deception, when you speak the truth, you might be hated for it. People might dislike the video or do other things, but eventually maybe they'll come around, possibly, if they have a soul or if something happens to them in which their consciousness expands. That is the reality of after 9/11, as a innocent group of people were accused of an event that was manufactured. Okay, other countries may have had some involvement. Certainly Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, they haven't been bombed back to the Stone Age. They enjoy close ties to the U.S. Saudi Arabia enjoys close ties to Trump. Trump brought us Operation Warp Speed. Trump took us deeper into debt. Trump released Taliban members out of prison. Trump bragged about dragging women by the coochie. Trump has a Chinese government company renting office at Trump Tower. Trump bombed Afghanistan in 2017. Trump bombed Syria in 2017. Trump regularly talked about deporting Muslims, innocent Muslims, in the United States. Okay, Trump didn't question the potential false flags that occurred before he was elected in 2016. Trump isn't a 9/11 truther. Trump supported Operation Warp Speed in his interview with Candace Owens. Trump supports assault on innocent people as his supporters used paintball guns on the people of Portland, Oregon in 2020. And when he was interviewed about it, he said, oh, it's just paint. No, it's a paintball projectile. You dumb fuck. I think terms like orange man bad is just stupid. Partisan politics is stupid. But yeah, in this case, orange man bad. But there may be some good orange folks out there, some good brown folks out there, some good white folks out there. But listen, the system doesn't want good white folks out there to be seen on the larger scene, speaking out against the evil taking place. Okay, so if an attractive, good, beautiful blonde white woman with blue eyes was to start speaking out against injustice, she would not necessarily have. She might, I'm not saying she wouldn't, but she wouldn't necessarily have a lot of hits or clicks. But again, if she was to do superficial things, including minority ethnic women from either Pakistan, Palestine, Jordan, or wherever, Syria, they can also get on TikTok or social media, show their ass, show their beauty, show how hot they are to the world. Whether or not they're verbalizing that or not, that's essentially what they're doing. It's the truth. It's not misogyny. It's not hate. It is understanding human biology. Men and women are attracted to beautiful women. So because we're attracted to beautiful women, because of the innate built-in programming to make more children through procreation and sexuality, even women see women as beautiful because of that innate wiring within us to revere the beautiful woman who can harbor life, who can be the incubator of life. So it's built into us. So there's almost a sense of beauty worship that at times then is used for propaganda purposes, where beautiful women are put into certain positions where they are reporters. Either years ago, InfoWars outlet, or we see the mainstream media, or we see Russia Today back in the day with the disinfo babes, right? With their breasts popping out of their blouses, whether it be Leanne Macaboob over at InfoWars or others. Beauty has been used to deceive. Do you understand? Okay, this is nothing new. But if someone wants to truth in a strategic way, they can pull people in through a number of techniques, maybe discussing some mainstream things, get a lot of viewers, and then truth them wherever you can get the audience, whether it be through a channel or a YouTube channel or a channel somewhere outside of YouTube or a TV show or an Access TV show or a radio show or a Facebook page or a blog or a Twitter or something. Get a following and then truth them. Okay? And maybe be strategic in how you truth to bypass the algorithm. Okay? Speaking in code can get around the algorithm. Certain words are built in to where the little info card will pop up. Oh, New World Order, conspiracy theory. September 11th, info card for that. Conspiracy theory. You want to talk about the health event? You want to say specific things that question the so-called solution? Your video will go down. But then they've got it set up so X, formerly known as Twitter, rides in looking like the savior. People look to Twitter to be the savior. But it's not the savior. It's a deception. It is a lie. You know, I can talk and talk and talk. It's just that I feel like I almost give too much energy at times, though, to aspects of the audience. You know, and I really want to branch out and reach new people that haven't heard my voice yet or my ideas 100 times or 1,000 times. I want to grow. I want to grow. I want to grow. I want to learn the techniques to grow. There's a lot of books you can get about growing your channel. But if they're not discussing controversial topics, then the techniques in that book or on that YouTube series may apply to that person. If they're not the wrong ethnicity also, those tips may apply to that person, that blonde-haired, blue-eyed person who's going to talk about computer programming and sports or some sort of mainstream political thing. They are destined for success. Or someone who is black. Okay, not all that are mixed, but some that are mixed. I've looked at one person who struggled, who's mixed, who's half black, half white. Another person who started his channel out of nothing, who's half black, half white, who did his own strategy for channel growth, which isn't the strategy that I would use, which is one that seemed to exploit the homeless a little bit, And then he turned around to act like he's some sort of champion for the homeless. So he played both sides. Kind of an interesting strategy, I would say. Oh, look at the homeless here. Look at this. Look at that. Oh, look, I'm going to now give the homeless food and give them socks and film it and then solicit donations to give them more stuff. It's kind of like, whose side are you on? Are you for the homeless or are you disgusted by all the homeless? A little bit of both. So his channel grew because in a region of North America where there's a lot of homeless, but I know for a fact that in this world of 8 billion, certain ethnicities discussing war crimes, invasion of certain countries, the truth about 9/11, they are typically never to be seen popular in the algorithm. But you can see some ethnic minorities on the right wing. Okay? Patrick Bet David of Valuetainment. And he is very right wing apparently. He has a guest on that says that they've seen videos of Hamas chopping the breast off of Israeli women. And he literally has a Muslim guest on who's literally in their friendship inner circle because he's been on many times. So he's not like some foe of theirs. He's some ally of theirs. And he's saying, I haven't seen that. So there are people that are tight, been tight for years. They're in this circle where they might like Trump. But now there's, and I predicted this accurately, there's divide within that world. Some that are seeing things from the Gaza perspective and some that are seeing things from the Israeli perspective. So I would suggest, like with all things and many things, that it's about dividing even their camp. But even they themselves can't see that because they're ignorant. So they don't see how they're being played, how their own movement is being divided by design. Patrick Bet David is from Iran. So while there'll be hate towards Iranians, and I've dealt with in the street, Patrick Bet David is Iranian, but because he's willing to be right-wing, showing that this is really about people conforming. And if you don't conform, your ethnicity can be used against you. The fact that you don't blend in, and you could be considered part of the great replacement theory. And people could catapult birth guilt in your direction if you try to stand up for yourself. So really, one of the things that I've learned from my own audience, in some cases, is that some, not all, some people really want a passive human who lets people walk over him, who lets his audience influence him, who basically acts like something out of the Tina Turner song, Private Dancer. I'm your private dancer, dancing for money. Do what you want me to do. Say what you want me to say. Donations are great. They've helped quite a bit from people that watched on the internet in the past, but some, whether they know it or not, might want to use it to control. Hey, why don't you talk more like this? I don't like this. Why don't you say this? You're wrong on this. This is the truth. Once one links in with money, there's a magnetic link. So, healthy money exchange is when it is done with the benefit to support what one is doing as it is. Okay? The evil in this world will take people that assert themselves and say, now what you're doing is wrong. You believe in what you're saying. You're confident in what you're saying. You're moving forward in what you're saying. You're not allowing people to throw you off your path. Wow, you're a real jerk. You're crazy. You're abusive. So people will interpret someone just standing up for themselves as being like abusive and anti-them. Okay? The only thing that can really help this type of madness is a deeper connection with God. Okay? People can run out in the woods and think that that's going to help their perception or make them happier. A lot of people actually are going crazy out in them woods. I've experienced this firsthand. I know a bit. Just a bit. I know more about this than you're aware of. But I kept myself company talking to the internet for years off-grid. But there was also times in which I wasn't talking to the internet. Times in which the internet went down or when I was stuck on my property, miles from town, miles from water and additional food. Weeks and months without seeing a soul. Having a real lockdown, if you will, without being able to go to the store. A real sense of social isolation. While the world had it ended, it might as well have ended for me at that moment. Those are some dark moments. And then, of course, running out of marijuana. It just made things just so much more spicy in that holiday 2016-2017 period in which I'm snowed in, I don't have any pot, and I'm just off grid, and I don't even have any official power. I have solar panels at the time, I think. I may have had a generator, and I was able to keep warm. But I'll tell you what, that sends someone into a deep contemplative state of consciousness. But not everybody that goes out in nature enters into a deep state of consciousness. Okay, so I was in various places in America, various off-grid places in America. Okay, and other than my home state. And when I did find conscious people, like I said earlier, it was around the 2012, 2013 time period. People were different then. Okay, fast forward to the years ahead, like people had transformed. And in states like that, the fake news propaganda targeting certain people coming into America, and frankly, people that are already here, that are already hardworking Americans, some of which aren't even Muslim, let alone radical. You know, certain states were more affected by those thought forms, those hateful thought forms than others. And most people that engage in that hate don't even care about this factoid. They just ignore this factoid. So they strategically targeted Virginia, Florida, and Colorado in 2015, 2016 with the most amount of disinformation. A wide variety of headlines, including, though, fearful headlines about ISIS attacks, immigrant attacks from Syrian immigrants and others, either being imported in or coming through the border. Right now, they're really playing the border thing up. But at that time, it was Obama's immigrants planning to attack America. And that affected me in my travels. And so even though I stood up for off-gridders in certain circumstances, because of things that I cannot control, circumstances beyond my control, even though I try to come to the aid of others, in this lifetime, with the things that I've gone through, very few to none have ever come to the aid of myself when I needed it. So in many cases, I've had to turn to God. And as I look at the time code, I see 4844. I just look at the 8, split the 8s into 4s. See a series of 4s. Seeing lots of numbers right now. This is a spiritual time as we approach the April 2024 eclipse. Seeing lots of numbers, 555s and 3s, and 2s and 1s and 8s and 6s and 9s and everything. In combination of numbers. 144, lots of 144. Or 411. Or 369s. Or again, series of 3s. Or 119 or 911. 88 or 888. A lot of 66, which is I need to maybe get some rest, stay off the internet, restore balance. From what I Googled, you can take a look at numbers that you see either on the clock or on your receipt number or on license plates. And you can look that up on the internet. Okay, you can look that up on the internet and get an interpretation of what these numbers are telling you. But we are in a mathematical matrix. So, ethnicity and information, those two, can be picked up on by these evil forces manipulating the algorithm, and they can be suppressed, including a spiritual person with a spiritual light. And a lot of negative entities, they don't like the light. So not only will the entities in the AI algorithm not like truly spiritual people, and will maybe allow certain things to be done to those people, slander, to maybe affect those people's light or to encourage them to stop creating content, you know, there are times, however, in which we're tapping into deep spiritual insights. Right now is one of those times. And then it's going to increase for some people that are on that wavelength, that are tuned in, that are appropriately tuned in to that frequency. Recently, I recorded a video where I commentate on, some things to consider with regards to meditation. But it's not a guided meditation. Meditation is difficult, but meditation is important. You don't always need to meditate. It is recommended, however, at least to get to a certain point. Sincere prayer and faith is important. Instead of just simply being afraid of the workings of the devil. So really a lot of these glitches that I've experienced online and others, while they could be natural, sometimes I wonder if it's really natural or part of these demonic influences that are trying to suppress spiritual knowledge and waking people up, right? Because when I look at a lot of the mainstream spiritual stuff that's out there on the internet, although it's labeled spiritual, it's not really addressing the evils in the world, the murders taking place. So someone could really continue to be a zombie, a consumer, thinking that they're enlightened, thinking that they're beautiful, thinking that they're a patriot, thinking that they're progressive on the other end, thinking that they're anti-racist, thinking that they got a small carbon footprint, thinking that they're using a recyclable bag, and on. Ooh, I got an electrical car. I'm saving the fucking earth. Meanwhile, millions of people are being eradicated off of the face forever. Something out of the lyrics of Countdown to Extinction by Megadeth, 1994. This is it. This is the countdown to extinction. We got all these animal rights activists. They talk about the animals, and that's fine. But when do they talk about other forms of human life? When do they protest the wars? They protest the supposed awake people in this society. Protest when society says it's okay to protest. When the politicians get up on their soapbox and tell the masses to protest for a cause that they themselves are hijacking, like Barack Obama in 2007, 2008, before his rise. And what did he do to end the wars? He did everything to expand the wars. He did everything to expand the attacks in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Yemen. Obama's no angel. Okay, so people want to act like the election of Barack Obama helped resolve racial tensions in the U.S. It actually made things worse. And that's the truth. A lot of people are living a lie. Not only about Barack Obama, but about Donald Trump and about Joe Biden. Those other candidates that were running, they weren't really running against Donald Trump. Not the Indian guy, not Nikki Haley with all her genocidal babble talk, which just got a lot of people out there hot. Talking about genocide of the Palestinian people. Those people are going to suffer. All they're doing is just putting out the rhetoric that one day is going to be used against the people of the West. And maybe when the smoke clears, maybe there'll be some sort of a discussion as to who was right about how things would manifest and who lied. Then again, maybe we will be at that point so deeply entrenched into the next level of the zombie apocalypse that nobody will even be able to think anymore. With the amount of poverty going on, and devastation, and crisis, and attacks on the brain, with whatever electromagnetic weapons they've got, which they're probably going to flip on in the coming weeks and months and years, as the sun will be more active, spitting out its coronal mass ejections as it's in its solar maximum cycle, hitting the Earth responding with geomagnetic activity, the Earth and the sun connected by portals, energy literally connecting the sun to the Earth, the sun more active, creating the aurora borealis, more souls waiting to come into the Earth that we see through the lights in the sky, and then more souls either going back into the sun or at the very least leaving the Earth through the acts of death and murder that occur during war. War, of course, occurring when the sun is more active. Sun is more active, more war. Sun is more active, more sex, more babies. More death, more sex when the sun is more active. Interesting, because both sex and violence sells. So, both sex and violence sells, but the knowledge of how the sun influences both sex and violence, no. Humanity right now is too stupid to get that. Humanity right now is intimidated by an individual that realizes this. And the algorithm right now is not fair. A fair algorithm would take a genius and would deliver that genius the information that that genius has on a silver platter. In this modern age of YouTube, it would come in the form of a suggestion to the people that are looking for the information. And there are people looking for information on the sun. But they get led into these dark Alice in Wonderland rabbit holes. A flat earth, the sun is dead, the sun's going to bring you ascension, or the sun's going to kill you all. Okay? But the deeper understandings of the sun and how it affects us, and how the power elite stage events and Muslim false flags to lead us towards certain outcomes, to lead people into dark attitudes like kill them all, sacrifice them all, gas them all, at the very least, deport them all. But that's really something that builds to other more psychotic things. And that's what I'm predicting now. As well as the fact that these videos will likely be shared in the future. Timestamp, it's January 28th, 2024. It is 6:05 a.m. Conclusion. You can bypass the algorithm when you write a book and you share that book and you hand out a DVD. When you share information and you code it in certain ways, the language, or you shield your identity, when you shield your voice, or you use some other device or software for your voice. Maybe use a robot voice. Again, use coded language. Use certain images or graphics to also share the idea that you're trying to get across. Understand what AI is looking for and be realistic about it, okay? A lot of people are unrealistic about AI. Okay, a lot of people think that AI is against racism and is super woke because a lot of people identify wokeism to be against racism and thus bad. Okay, it's actually good to be against racism, but not in the way the mainstream woke movement has gone about it. And they themselves are not an ideal example, nor Antifa, of anti-racism. They themselves covet their own hatred. They are not an example of anti-racism. So Antifa and quote self-described celebrity activists, SJW anti-racists, are not a good example of anti-racists or the idea of peace amongst the various ethnic groups, nor are they a good representation of the ideals of Martin Luther King. And even though there are conspiracy theories that people have about Martin Luther King, nonetheless, he is a well-respected leader in our society by many people. And there is a big, big difference between MLK and the things that he said and his dream and the destruction that is being brought to many American cities by not only Antifa, but by the far right. This is only happening, folks, because of algorithmic suppression and control, okay? Because if there wasn't such algorithmic suppression and control, boosting certain personalities, you would see more people calling for peace and helping people evolve beyond the illusions of separation. So the algorithmic manipulation is real, and I encourage you to fight it, to overcome it, to not give up, to work around it, to never let it win.
We are on the cusp of something big. A lot of people feel this. I'm Alex Ansary. It's November 4th, 2019. Over at spaceweather.com, they talk about the new solar cycle as sunspots that are emerging are showing a new magnetic polarity. I'm spending more time off of YouTube. I'm not always reading. Sometimes I'm just simply contemplating things. I believe that this is a time of contemplation, of insight. This is the quiet before the storm. In fact, I see nothing but confirmation that there is a spiritual war within the research community. And there is a sense of deception that I sense from certain individuals. And I'm noticing now a connection very strongly that's confirming suspicions that I've had for years. So we can have one level of disinformation over here, and we can have something else that's not necessarily connected, say flat earth, or some sort of a meme where people are saying hey, this is how it is. And you're either going to join how we look at how things are or be considered disinformation yourself. So when you have a reality, we're talking about something as simple as the sun provokes certain types of interference, that should be a wake-up call. And so there is this battle that's taking place, that's waging on our planet, and these major changes in energy that we go through seem to be periods in which we're seeing more of that struggle between the powers of good versus evil. We're seeing it manifest in our world, in our own lives. You know, this could be interpreted as a mindful way to live or exist, or to express yourself versus a unmindful way, the higher self versus the lower self. It's taking place within. So as we go through these cycles, as we experience these things, this is a time for accelerated learning and personal evolution. You know, the last couple weeks, there's been an accelerated level of articles coming out about cyber warfare, about these units the military's creating and housing them in Air Force bases to fight the future of warfare, which is beyond what's taking place in the battlefield. They're running these exercises at the same time that we're seeing major power outages around the world in major cities, which they're claiming hackers are responsible for. Now the question is, how are we going to secure our own communications when this current grid of information goes down, this current database known as the internet, which we do know now was something that was created by the government in the 60s. And we've forgotten that. We've forgotten that this platform is moving into a new world to where they can easily force us onto internet too. They're already announcing that thousands of our emails are being read on a regular basis, uploaded automatically to the server in the sky or some other database. It's very interesting to see how all of this progresses as we move closer and closer into a world where we can actually see parts of our internet break down. And we're starting to ask ourselves, why is this happening? Is it really because they're running out of space? Or is it because there's a bug in the system that's designed to be there? Rather than debate about internet censorship or where the internet's going, I think the time is already past for us to seriously begin a real face-to-face discussion about alternative communications. How are we going to get information out to people in the community when the platform of the internet goes down?
Thank you for watching this week's edition of Outside the Box TV with Alex Ansary. Would you like to share your input on the problems in Portland, Oregon, or your fears about the future regarding World War III or Portland during a crisis, maybe a war with China? Send an email and your thoughts to sourceform333@proton.me. Sign up to the newsletter and be informed of all new blogs, videos, and podcasts. If you enjoy this show and you want to see more of them, send an email and let me know that you're watching, and I'll do my best to keep them coming.